Hi everyone, welcome to the How to Write a Resume webinar. In this webinar, I will be teaching you how to build an American resume, which is very different from the Brazilian CV that you are all used to making and using when applying to various opportunities. Along with this webinar, you can also check out our other resources. We've got the Brazil Mobility YouTube channel, and that has this exact webinar, as well as the other resume webinar that we did last year. Very similar, but two is better than one. We also have in the document library of the academic training website an info sheet about how to write a resume, as well as the sample resume that I will be going through in this webinar. You can also use the resume builder located in the resources tab of the academic training website, and that is a great way to build the first draft of your resume, because all you do is type in information into the fields, and at the end your resume is formatted for you in a PDF. So that's a really great way to make the first draft of your resume. I want to preface that by saying, or preface this webinar by saying, that you should always have someone, a person, look over your resume, and we definitely recommend that you go to your career services office. It may be called something different in your university, career development office, career services. Make sure to go there and have them look through your resume so that what you are sending out to potential employers is the best it can possibly be. It is very unwise not to go to the career services office to have your resume checked. So make sure to do that. So let's get started. In the US, a resume is only one page. It lists coursework, skills, and experience that are relevant to the position for which you are applying, and it is formatted in a professional and consistent way. Please note that a resume should not include any personal information other than your name, address, email, and phone number. You should also not include an objective / goal on your resume. This last thing that I said is a preference of the BSMP programs. I usually find that the objective is the hardest part of the resume, and it's not necessarily something that contributes to it in any way. But if your career services office is telling you to include a goal or objective, please do so. This is our standard information for resumes, and if you are going to your career services office and they are telling you something else, you can definitely trust them. So font margins and spacing. This contributes to the whole look of your resume. It should be black font color, 10 to 12 point Times New Roman font, or some other very simple font. The margin should be from 1/2 to 1 inch. You should use bold, italics, and standard font to distinguish certain parts of the resume, and a space to separate each section. For most fields of study, for most industries, a simple resume, cleanly formatted, is best. So something that is similar to this right here. For design students, graphic design, product design, students in the more creative industries, you can do your resume like this one, but you also have a bit more freedom than, say, a mechanical engineering student, because sometimes companies and organizations want to see how you can set yourself apart from everyone else. So design resumes usually can be a little bit more creative. So you don't have to stick to the, black font color, 10 to 12 point Times New Roman font. However, you still want to make sure that the information is easy to read and that the most important information is highlighted in the resume. Unfortunately, I and my team members don't have a lot of experience with design resumes, but I was looking at something very cool today. It's called Piclochart, and it is an online resource that you can use to make infographics, and they had a template for a resume. So if you're wondering how to do that, you can go on there, but I'm assuming as you're a design student, you've already got a couple of your own ideas, so go ahead and run with them. And again, you always have the Career Services office to tell you what to do and what not to do. So, in no instance should your resume go over one page. If you can't fit everything on one page, make an appointment with someone in your Career Services office to get advice on how to make it one page. It's sometimes very hard to fit everything on one page. You want to accurately represent yourself, and for a lot of people, myself included, this includes putting everything you've done on the resume because you want to impress the person, but this, you've really got to pick and choose from your experiences. Thankfully, we're young and we don't have as much experience as other people do, but you really want to pick through your experiences and choose whatever skills and whatever experience that you already have that really pertains and really has to do with the position that you are applying for. So make sure to get that resume to one page. Again, this note on the bottom of the page says, do not include personal information other than your name, address, email, and phone number. And when I say that, I mean it. Seriously, just your name, address, email, and phone number. No pictures of yourself. Do not put your nationality. Do not put your age. Do not put your gender. Employers, they don't care about these things. They only want to know the things that they absolutely need to know, which is your name and your contact information. Moving on, this is what a one-paged American resume looks like. As you can see, it's very neatly designed. The person looking at the resume will know that this part right here contains your contact information in case they do want to contact you, hopefully for an interview. This person who is reading the resume will know that this student is studying at UC Irvine right now, and from August 2013 to May 2014 is studying aerospace engineering as a non-degree student in Brazil. They are at the Federal University of Pernambuco. They will graduate in 2015. They know that they've got a pretty good GPA. They can go down here and read about some professional experience. They know that this person knows Java, logic flows, speaks native Portuguese. Again, it's very easy to extract information from this resume. So you want to make that's high on your list. You want the resume to be easily readable. So the first part, again, contact information. This can be in the center or on the sides of the page. Again, since you're all a little bit inexperienced with American resumes, or most of you, we do suggest that you follow the format of this resume just because it's very easy. This is the fictional BSMP student Lucas. He's got his name, his address, his email, and then his telephone number. The address is optional, but I like to put it just because I think it looks very nice. And you are going to want to put the address, your mailing address, at your university. So I doubt that they will actually ever send you anything by mail, but it's nice to have. Moving on to the education section. The first line should include your university or college name, the city, and the state. And on the left side of the page, the expected graduation date. on the right side of the page, the expected graduation date or the dates that you attended the school or plan to attend the school. So in this case, this student, while it is not, resume was done last year, while it wasn't May 2014 yet, but he knew that he would only be at UC Irvine for a year. The second line should say something like non-degree international student. And if you feel like telling the person who you're sending the resume to your GPA, then you should include this on the right. If your GPA is below a 3.0, we don't recommend that you put your GPA on the resume, but if it is above a 3.0 or above, then please do put it. You want to include any universities that you have attended. So if you are in your second bachelor's degree or if you are a grad student, you are going to want to include your undergrad, wherever you got an undergrad education. I know some Brazilians also do technical courses during high school, and if that has something to do with the opportunity you are applying to, go ahead and put it in there. It really cannot hurt. But you're really going to want to follow this this format. Quick note about US GPA. It is converted on a 4.0 scale, and you will need to convert your Brazilian GPA to the 4.0 scale. You don't want to put your Brazilian CR out of 10 or 100 because American employers will not know how to read that. A good resource for this is this link right here. You can copy this link exactly, or you can type in foreign GPA calculator, and this will be the first link that shows up. You are going to want to calculate your GPA for all of the grades that you've gotten so far at your current Brazilian institution. And then, so depending on where you are in your, bachelor's degree, you're going to have, some people might have more grades to calculate than others, but you can calculate them all together as you can see in this link. And then at the end of this semester, once you've gotten your first semester grades, you will get a transcript, and on that transcript will be your GPA. They will calculate it for you so you don't have to do any work, and you can just take that GPA and switch it with the converted Brazilian GPA that you had on your resume before. So there is a relevant coursework section that is optional, and the list should present courses that relate to the internship position 3 by 3. So it should look like there is an invisible chart, and this gives you the opportunity to list 3 to 9 courses that are relevant to the internship position. So if you are applying for a civil engineering internship, you're not going to want to list your piano coursework. It's like that. You can list courses that you are currently taking in the US and courses that you have already completed in Brazil, but do not feel that you need to list courses. This is a part of your resume that you should omit if the other sections take up a lot of space and you are worried about fitting it all on one page. So skills and professional experience are definitely more important than relevant coursework. But the relevant coursework section is a great opportunity for students who don't necessarily have as much experience, a professional experience, haven't done as many projects, to really show the potential employer that they have experience in the field of study and that they have taken many classes and know what they're doing. So you can also, you should also make a skills section. This section is extremely important in the STEM fields. Make sure that you include it on your resume. Skills should be grouped by categories, and these may include programming, lab, computer, etc. You should list the skills across the page as you see in the resume we're looking at now. But you shouldn't include personality traits in your skills section. Traits such as good leadership, communication, teamwork, or management skills should be explained in your cover letters, and we will have a webinar just about cover letters to explain that more. You can also include a project section. This section is not required, but if you have worked on projects in your field of study that are relevant to your field of study, you may want to include them. You can also include any lab or research work that you have done that is relevant to your major here. Also, if you're currently working on a project at your U.S. university, you should feel free to include it in this section as well. Just make sure to list the individual project title, the school and institution where you did it, and the dates you worked on the project or research or lab work. Underneath, you can put bullet points that give a brief but thorough explanation of the project and what you did. Now on to the professional experience section. You can also just call this experience. Sometimes students don't have professional experience per se. They've never worked in a company, so it is up to you. So if you have relevant experience, each experience should be listed, and you can include relevant volunteer experience here in addition to jobs or internships. On the first line, you should put the organization name, so a company or organization, a company such as Petrobras. That will go in bold here. And then you are going to list the city and country where you completed the experience, and then you are going to put your the position you held. So it may have been intern, it may have been called something else, but whatever your title was, you're going to want to include it here under this. On the right side of the page, the dates when you were engaging in this experience. No day is required, but you do want the month and the year. And then in the under the title, you're going to want to list, I like to do, for me, 3 is the magic number. But again, that's not required. You want to basically tell the person who's reading your resume what you did. So Lucas evaluated safety of new rocket reentry from space to Earth using MATLAB. You want to be concise, but you want to be very descriptive, and you want to be detailed yet concise. So this is definitely the part of the resume that I find the hardest because, first of all, it's hard to think back to what you did, everything you did, and then talk about it in a way that is short yet conveys what you did at the job or at the internship. It's really important to use action words in this section. So examples of action words: evaluated, assisted, created. Sometimes I find myself using the same words over and over, and when that happens, I just type in resume action words in Google, and tons of links come up, and they just have lists and lists and lists of words that you can use. It's great because, I kind of stick to created, I kind of stick to examined, and it's good to have a varied amount of words. So make sure to use those resources. And again, this part is probably the part that will give you the most trouble, and it will also be the part that when you take your resume to the Career Services Office will be, one of the first things that the Career Services Officer will help you with. It's really hard to get right on the first try. So at the bottom, you can include additional information. Again, this is optional. In this section, you'll want to include things such as any honors you received, any seminars that you attended, any extracurricular activities you were involved in or you are involved in your U.S. host institution or your Brazilian host institution. So say you are president of a club, you formed the Brazilian Alliance. at your university here, or your president of the mechanical engineering club at your school in Brazil. So that's everything you want to list here. What we really do recommend is including this work authorization section right here. And you can simply state that you're a J1 visa holder and that your sponsorship and work authorization is provided by the Institute of International Education. This is so that when an employer reads your resume, they know, okay, this is a foreign student, but we don't have to do any immigration work for them, and they will be authorized to work by an outside organization, so we don't have to worry about that. Some questions that students have been asking me, I did this webinar last week. Some questions that the students were asking me were like, you know, I've attended a lot of seminars. What should I, you know, can I list them all in the additional information section? Where should I list them? The additional information section, again, is optional. If you don't feel like the honors you've received or the volunteering opportunities that you've had, you know, say a lot about you as a professional, then you don't have to include them. I know that a lot of you go to seminars and conferences, but professional experience or projects, research projects, are more important in the eyes of employers than presenting a poster at a conference or a seminar. Some students I know, we can go back, oops, excuse me. Some students I know, they, you know, the poster that they presented at a conference is the direct result of a project. So you're going to want to put that opportunity under projects and research, and then make a bullet point that says presented a poster at a conference or presented a poster at so-and-so seminar. So that's one way to solve it. But again, the art of the resume is really kind of choosing what to take from all of your skills and experiences and include on the resume, and making, you know, and then choosing which things you can go without and which things you really need for that specific resume. For people with a lot of experience, they often, you know, they're applying to multiple jobs. This may not apply to any of you, but just as a note, and they need to have multiple, you know, each time they apply to a job, they've got to make a new resume because they've got so much different experience, and they really need to go back to their list of all skills and experiences and think, you know, I used this one for the other opportunity, but I think that this specific experience is better to have for this resume. You know, you've really got to pick and choose. I know a lot of you don't have much experience, and I want to tell you that not to panic, because companies and people providing internships are aware that you are college students, and they are aware that college students probably haven't worked full-time in the industry yet because they are in college. So what is really going to speak to those people is where you go to school here, your GPA, possibly where you went to school in Brazil, your coursework, and your skills section. So for those of you who don't have much experience, don't worry. Just make sure to really make those sections that will speak for you as a potential, you know, intern or research assistant or observer. Make those, bolster and strengthen those sections so that you can, you know, so that people will be impressed by you, and they will automatically know, you know, what you can do. So just a couple of resume frequently asked questions that we get, even though we may say before the answer before. What kind of information about me should I put in my resume? Should I write a short paragraph answering questions like, who am I, or why should you hire me? Should I include an objective statement? The only personal information about yourself should be at the very top of your resume. We recommend that you do not include an objective statement or any other paragraph about yourself. We have received resumes of students with a 10-sentence paragraph talking about themselves. That is not going to get you an internship or a research assistantship, because the employer will read it and know that, you didn't follow directions and that you don't know how to make an American resume. So really, save yourself the trouble and just include the name, email address, residential address, again, or mailing address, which is optional, and your telephone number so that they can contact you if need be. Could I change the sequence of things? Could I put, for example, the skills first? You can change the order of how things are listed on your resume. I'd recommend that you keep the education section first and then the additional information section last if you are going to include it. But everything else, you can order it however you feel most comfortable. Usually a resume progresses in, a sort of importance. It goes by importance, so your education as you're a college student is very important, and then your skills are very important, so you want to keep that in mind. I have won some honors in events in high school. Should I include them in my resume? No. You should only include honors or activities that you have participated in throughout your university experience. Just a caveat to this, again, the technical schools that you did attend, or the technical courses you attended in high school but were sort of, geared more towards college, you can include those if they have anything to do with the position, and if you're not short for space in other areas. So if you are choosing between, that internship that would look really good on this resume because it was very similar to what I'm going to be what the internship description is now, or the technical school that I went to, I would definitely pick the professional experience. So now we've gone through the entire process of creating a resume. As a final note, do not list references on your resume. These should be put into a separate document to be available upon request. Please see the frequently asked questions section of the Academic Training Info Sheet Resume Guide found on the Academic Training website for more information on how to properly prepare a reference list. There will be more webinars coming up, more resume webinars that will be very similar to this one. There will also be cover letter webinars, how to interview webinars. So we do have a lot of resources available for you. We are definitely helping you out, but you also have the resources available on your campus, and we definitely recommend that you take advantage of those. You are more likely to get an academic training opportunity if you take advantage of those resources. So please remember and be aware of that, and thank you for listening. See you soon.